Anna Logan Lawson, a social entrepreneur who used her education and influence to invent new ways to view the world and the systems that make it go round. Anna Logan was born May 10, 1943, in Salem. The daughter of Francis McNulty Logan and Joseph D. Logan, Jr., Anna grew up on West Main Street. She was born into a family with a hearty appetite for education. Her father was born in Union, West Virginia. He later attended Roanoke College and Cornell before spending 10 years as a tobacco buyer in Greece and Turkey. Anna's mother, Frances, earned her bachelor's in philosophy from Hollins College and her master's in English from Columbia University. She would become a teacher and a reporter at the Roanoke World News. Anna and her brothers, Joe and George, inherited their mother's love of music. Frances played violin and piano. George played guitar. Joe, the mandolin and guitar, and Anna, the piano and recorder. Family gatherings always included hymns, bluegrass, and folk songs. After his tobacco buying days, Anna's father, Joe, joined with a partner and started Martha Washington Candies, later to be called Old Dominion Candies. The famous buttercreams and chocolate-covered cherries were manufactured in a second-floor factory on the corner of Jefferson Avenue and Church Street in Roanoke. A decade later, the family started Frigid Freeze Foods with locations in both Salem and Roanoke. Refrigeration was in its infancy, and people rented cold space from the company. The company also distributed frozen foods to restaurants. The world was changing, and Anna's father was developing a system to deal with it, something she herself would pursue her entire life. When Joe died in 1950, Frances went to work in the business, and over time Anna and her two brothers would play roles as well. Joe, with degrees from Princeton and Washington and Lee Law, worked in the business before turning the leadership over to younger brother George, who put to work his MBA from the University of Virginia. Anna served on the board and as corporate secretary. Frigid Freeze remained successful until it was purchased by Sara Lee in 1986. While Anna and her brothers learned much from their parents, they also credit their Aunt Nancy for their success. Nancy lived with the family on West Main Street and worked in the Roanoke County Courthouse, starting as an assistant clerk in 1919 and retiring in 1970 as clerk of the court, the first woman to hold that position in Virginia. Another influence was Stuart Lewis, a stepsister who joined the family when her mother remarried to J.M.B. Lewis, an attorney at Norfolk Western. Young Anna was surrounded by all of these influences as she began her education at North Cross School and then Broad Street School in Salem, eventually Andrew Lewis and then St. Anne's Boarding School in Charlottesville. At St. Anne's, she was editor of the school paper, played on the basketball team, and was a budding thespian. Anna eventually attended Hollins College, earning her degree in English in 1965 and her master's in 1970. As an undergrad, she was associate editor of the student newspaper and served as a class officer, two activities that began to pique her interest in the system, an umbrella term that describes how things work and how people interact with one another. Looking back, Anna recognizes that part of her life when she says she was more interested in causes than a career. "I wanted to avoid confrontations," she says, and was willing to make compromises by looking into how the system could be adjusted. It was the 1960s, and with the women's movement and civil rights, a good time to be looking at systems. But Anna was just getting started. After a stint at William Morrow Publishing in New York, Anna returned to Roanoke, where she married Thomas Lawson, whom she had met while at Hollins. Tom would become a trial lawyer at Woods Rogers, where he would remain until 1992. He would later publish a book entitled Carl Jung, Darwin of the Mind in 2008, a profile of the Swiss psychoanalyst. New ways of thinking surrounded Anna in every aspect of her life. After they were married, Anna became the first executive director of the Roanoke Historical Society. She later became news director at Hollins, where the forward-thinking faculty continued to influence her approach to life. It was there that she began to see herself as a social entrepreneur. She met Virginia Ginny Carter, who urged her to join Common Cause, which advocated open, honest, accountable government. The organization was not affiliated with a political party, but about the process. As Anna's social conscience grew, so did her family. She and Tom had 2 children, Thomas Tolles Jr. in 1971 and Frances Blair in 1973. The birth of the children spurred Anna to question the system again, and she became an early advocate for natural childbirth. Even the hospital staff was a bit tentative about the new approach when Tolles was born, but seemed accustomed to it by the time Blair arrived 2 years later. In 1976, Anna returned to Hollins, this time as editor of the Alumnae magazine. Eventually, she became assistant to the president, Paula Brownlee, and worked part-time as newsletter editor for the Kettering Foundation in Ohio. By the mid-'80s, there was another itch to scratch, and Anna returned to college at UVA, where she would study archaeology and anthropology. Working toward her doctorate, she stayed in Charlottesville 2 nights a week. Tom and the children, now 13 and 15, took care of things at home. Anna received her Ph.D. in anthropology in 1995. Her dissertation, entitled The Other Half, Making African American History at Colonial Williamsburg. Even that was not enough, as she spent part of the time assisting with the management plan at Booker T. Washington National Monument and teaching at Hollins. Her zeal for tackling the way systems work was exhibited in 2 publications. She wrote A New Age for University Research, and with 2 colleagues, on the use of relativism, fact, conjecture, and black and white histories at Colonial Williamsburg. For fun, she also did Sunday book reviews in the Roanoke Times. Her time at Frigid Freeze had also made her aware of the inner workings of the business world. So in 1994, as Roanoke's banks were absorbed by larger institutions, she, with leadership from her brother George, helped to start Valley Bank as a locally owned and operated community institution. She continues today as a director, where she sits on the audit and human resource committees. Anna's abilities to write, handle business, and to lead, combined with her desire to rework systems, naturally led to leadership roles in the Roanoke Valley. Anna headed the Board of Trustees at Hollins, the Board of Directors at Total Action Against Poverty, and the Virginia chapter of the Nature Conservancy. She is active with the Virginia Environmental Endowment, Virginia Land Conservation Foundation, and the Virginia Historical Society. She is very proud of the Hollins Award, which she received for leadership and commitment to the community. She has been an advocate of education and the arts, as evidenced by a sampling of the boards upon which she has served, including the Taubman Museum of Fine Arts, the Hollins College Alumnae Association, North Cross School, the Science Museum of Western Virginia, Virginia Foundation for the Humanities, which she chaired in 2007 through 2009, Family Service, and the Virginia League of Conservation Voters. She and Tom gave special support and attention to Planned Parenthood. Anna served with Warner Dollhouse as co-chair of the Capital Campaign for the new headquarters, which opened in the year 2000. She also worked with TAP CEO Ted Edlick and founder Cabell Brand on the This Valley Works campaign, assisting high school dropouts in efforts to obtain GEDs. At the Nature Conservancy, she sought to change the way we see the government, thinking globally and working with the Virginia Environmental Endowment to fund projects she thought could make a difference. Through all of this, the family grew. Tolles earned a joint degree in art history and philosophy at UVA and became an inventor who has patents in turbo-lag and zero-turn radius technology. Blair obtained a BA from Stanford and an MBA from Northwestern and is a vice president for Louis Vuitton, the New York fashion firm. Anna and Tom have 4 grandchildren, 2 in New York and 2 in Charlottesville. Anna's travels have taken her to England, Italy, Spain, and France. Winter means time on St. John's in the Caribbean. Recently, she traveled to the Galapagos Islands, where she marveled at the protection afforded by the government of Ecuador. Anna tries to run every day, gardens some, and still thinks about systems. Asked about her motto, she seems to have found a way to improve even on the golden rule. She calls it the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. It's safe to say that no system is safe, but the world is a better place, thanks to Anna Logan Lawson, the latest laureate in the Junior Achievement Southwest Virginia Business Hall of Fame.